Retirement in America. Were we better off 50 years ago? Yes, we were, Josh, because everyone had a pension. We'd have to rely on the scam that's called a 401k. It's so dumb. So let's go to this Morningstar article. This is examining nostalgia for the golden age of retirement. This article is not so dumb. The idea that somehow the older times, they were better off. The boomers, man, I guess the boomers weren't retired 50 years ago. This animosity towards the boomers cracks me up. It's like the boomers just woke up and had everything handed to them. No. Now, have the boomers lived through the golden age of wealth accumulation? Yes. Probably never to be seen again like what the boomers went through. But the idea that boomers I'm just a boomer, give me money. The boomers had to work. I mean, the problem with the boomers, they work too hard. That's where we had latchkey kids like me and like you and stuff. And, the boomers, did a lot of divorces and stuff. Look, the boomers weren't perfect, but I mean, my goodness, can we stop with the animosity towards the boomers? That's just as crazy. Oh, they have it so easy. Okay, boomer. I'm like, yeah. And what are you doing there? I don't have any money. You got sleeve tattoos. You got the newest thing in cell phones. You're eating Starbucks. You got freaking nose rings through your nose. All this crap. You know what I'm saying? You're freaking took on all this student loan debt. You didn't have to go to college there, guy, to get a freaking degree in, DEI studies. You freaking fool. I mean, you didn't have to do that. No one forced you to. No boomer put a gun to your head. But you're stupid because you got suckered in, unfortunately, by the school propaganda. And you didn't take 2 seconds to think. And sadly, your parents didn't give you guidance either. That's the drawback, as a lot of boomers say, college made me wealthy, so college will make you wealthy. But if I hear another guy, I got no money, it's sleeve tattoos, the newest phones, freaking, I don't want to hear it, dude. I'm so sick of that crap. All right, so let's go on this. My man, John Reckenthaler, and I've read him before. My man, John, look at him. John's crushing. I bet he went to the West. Doesn't he look like a West Point guy? He does to me. All right, over the years, I've encountered many articles wondering whether the prospects of retirees have improved, but never one that directly compared the income received by retirees who lived in the past with the income received today. Oh, so my man John has obviously never read his old buddy Josh's book, Relax and Retire, because we do just that. Now, we don't compare from 50 years ago. We compare from the 30s until today. From the 30s until today. Because you think the boomers had it good. Wait till you run today's numbers and look at what they had in the 1930s. And that's not because of the Great Depression. We also compare the 1910s, the 1920s, the 1970s a little bit, the 1950s a little bit. Anyways, keep going. Specifically, I calculate the median income for 1973, that's 50 years ago, 1973's private sector retirees and 2021's private sector retirees, evaluating the change in circumstances between the two endpoints. All right, I like it. All right, and then most retirement debates invoke the fate of the typical Americans. The median income is a logical choice. Median means 50% have more, 50% have less, 100%. I'm not using public sector employees because their situation, while warrants a discussion, is different than the private sector. All right, so let's go into this. In 1973, the median Social Security check, retirement check, was the princely sum of $166 a month, or in today's 2021 numbers, $1,004 a month. In 2021, imagine your Social Security was $1,004 a month. Well, that was the median Social Security check in 1973. Those retirees, of course, held no money in defined contribution plans, as the 401k system had not been invented yet. A few profit-sharing plans existed, and some investors did own taxable accounts, but those assets were beyond the means of the median income employees and can be safely ignored. But they all had pensions. Oh, did they? Ordinary Americans might have been served by a pension. On average, we don't have access to the median, but on average, and again, averages are always skewed to the higher, all right, the higher. So I have $1. Bill Gates has $500 million because of his snake oil salesman. Our average, I'm a multi-billionaire. All right, the median is $1. I think it's $1. Is that what it is? I think it's $1 because 50% have more, 50% have less. Yes, I guess the median would be $1 or maybe $1.01, whatever it is. So remember, the averages always skew towards the outliers. All right, and with the average pension was $177 a month, which is almost the exact same as the Social Security. So basically, a little bit more than $1,000 a month for the pension. So between your pension and Social Security, you're getting all of $2,000 a month. You didn't have any other money whatsoever. Yeah, but some people did. The vast majority didn't. Oh, but wait a second. Unfortunately, the pension system was not comprehensive. Most small and many mid-sized companies did not offer pension plans. What? Also, they were primarily designed for long-term employees. Workers who often changed jobs, as his dad did, rarely qualified. In 1973, 44% of private sector retirees received pension income. 44%, meaning that 56, i.e. the majority, did not. So 44% of people had a pension of $1,000 a month, and we'll just assume a Social Security of $2,000 of another $1,000 a month. So they got $2,000 a month. 44% had $2,000 a month. 56% had all of $1,000 a month for Social Security. No 401k plans either. Calculating expected income by the median income retiree calculating expected income for the median income retiree, that's hard to say, therefore requires multiplying that $177 check by 0.44, the exact how much many people had a pension. So basically, what he's saying basically the average would be $471 a month. So on average, a person who retired in 1973 had a pension of $471 a month and a Social Security check of $1,000 a month. That's it. But I wouldn't even do it like that. I'd say 56% of the population, the majority, only had a Social Security check of $1,000 a month. So here we go. Right here, hold on a second. This is what they made in 1973 numbers. This is what they made in 2021 numbers, 1475. Now let's take a look at 2021. Social Security benefits have increased over the past half century. Wonder why? Because the average wage index. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation, Josh. It's just not true. Well, my wages aren't. Well, your wages aren't. I get you. There are always going to be people that don't. That's a fact. But the average wage index has gone up more than inflation. That's not debatable. It's just, yes, your wages, your specific career choice, unfortunately, might not have worked that way. That sucks, dude. I don't know. I feel bad. I literally do. I feel bad for you. That's not the case for the median wage, though. It's just not. And the median means 50% of people have well more than the increase in inflation. Well more. That's just a fact. The median monthly Social Security payment in 2021 was $1,600. $1,658. That's the median monthly payment, which is 65% more than what we had in 1973 after adjusting for inflation. Through that boost alone, current retirees are wealthier than their predecessors. Just as well because the pension income has withered. As is well known, most private pensions have vanished. I wonder why. Why did they vanish? Well, that's because in 1974, the year after we're looking at to compare 50 years ago, we had this thing called ERISA. Why did we have ERISA? Employee Retirement Income Securities Act? Because private sector pensions were collapsing in front of us. You thought the yellow freight or whatever was losing their pension. That was happening all across the board back then, man. That's why they had ERISA. So yes, you might have got a pension. It might have not been there later on because the private companies were saying, they weren't maintaining their pensions very frugally. Let's put it that way. Let's see here. By 2021, the average pension has shrunk to $884 and 2021 dollars, which is about 20% lower than what it was the average pension in 2021. In 1973. So 1973 and 2021 dollars, the average pension was $1,071. In 2021, the average pension was $884. Again, only 11% of people actually had a pension in 2021 anyway, of private sector employees. With pension all but disappearing, defined contributions have attempted to fill that gap. At that task, they have not fully succeeded. Although I was unable to attain the industry median 401k balance for retirees, I did find the Vanguard's, we talked about this, 87,000 at Vanguard is clearly insufficient But even because I've done that a million times a Sunday, how silly that is. But let's just use it. That's literally the worst case scenario. Vanguard's median 401k balance was $87,000, which, assuming a 5% withdrawal rate, is $366 a month. All right, so 366 plus the average Social Security at 1658. That's $2,000 a month right there, using this silly number for the Vanguard median pension 401k plan. And again, the Vanguard plans doesn't take into consideration what? Oh, your IRAs, your brokerage accounts. It also doesn't take into consideration what? Oh, other 401k plans that you have inside of Vanguard. It does take into consideration, but for the median, it just says this is how many. This is the total 401k balance is how many participants. That's the median balance is this. If you got 2 or 3 plans, they're not consolidated into one. And then what else does Vanguard not do? They don't use Fidelity numbers, Merrill Lynch numbers, freaking TSP numbers. It's just so freaking dumb. It does no good to protest that only half of 1973, and I just can't believe this. Come on, John. Not to make note of that is. Just to use that from Vanguard, he's kind of saying, look, I don't have a number, but we'll use the Vanguard's. And he said, clearly this is insufficient, as if it's warranted, but not to recognize that Vanguard's. It does no good to protest that only half of 1973's retirees receive pension income, because the same caveat applies to defined contribution plans. Currently, 69% of full-time private sector employees have access to a defined contribution plan, and about 3/4 who do have joined that plan. The overall participation rate is 52%. Oh my goodness. But you know what else we have now? We have easy access to investment accounts and brokerage accounts, easy access to IRAs. You know what we did not have back then? All that. Oh. Now we got 2021. The median income is, again, I challenge these numbers in some regard, but we'll use them anyway. 1945 in 2021 for a 2021 worker versus adjusted for inflation, 1475 for a 1973 worker, if that makes sense. Give my family background. I've long distrusted nostalgia about the golden age of retirement, when everyday workers could allegedly retire without financial workers. There's no such thing as that. There was no such thing. The drawback about the pension nostalgia, you literally had to stay at the company for 20 to 30 years, dude. I stayed at USA for 10 years. That's a long time. You literally had to stay in one place, a lot of times at the factory, for 20 to 30 years to get that pension. Now, how many how much guys, mostly men, who had great ideas, brilliant ideas, but they stayed because of the pension. They stayed. They could not become an entrepreneur because I got to stay for 20 years. I got to stay for 30 years. How many people they never moved. They never did. Look, it's okay. But now with the 401k, it's your freaking money. It's your money. Obviously, if you leave the first 2 years, it might not be. But if you leave after 6 years, it's your flipping money to do it as you see fit. It gives you that more freedom than your stupid pension did. How many ladies were harassed by some clown? And she goes, I gotta stay here, I gotta stay here, I gotta stay here for the it's just this idea that the old days were better. It's just so stupid. While today's meanest private sector retirees are undeniably better off than the Ford, and it's even more than undeniable, because again, he's using a stupid thing from Vanguard, and that's not, Finally, if there remains any doubt that today's median income retirees have the advantage on 1970s, consider this. Few of those pension plan checks contain full cost of living increases, and many had none at all. And indeed, concluded a government study from 1973 through 1979, the average pension benefit grew 40% as quickly as inflation. That is, while prices were up 63%, pension payments only gained 25%. That's if your pension even stayed in full. For defined contribution plans, see, this is stupid too. I'm not saying this guy's stupid. I just hate this argument. For defined contribution plans to improve upon what the pension system must provide, two things must occur. They must become universal. They are universal. There's called an IRA plan. An IRA plan. You can start your own IRA. What are you going to you're going to mandate, John, that employers contribute to their employees? You're going to do that. You're going to say, we got a small business. You have to contribute to a 401k or a 403b. You're going to mandate that they have to. You know what that does to wages there, John? No. Instead, let's say this is what we should have done at the beginning. We're going to give you a voucher for your health care. We're not going to do anything through work. Here's a $10,000 a year voucher. Go buy your own. That's what they should have done with health care. They should do the same doggone thing when it comes to retirement plans. We're going to give you a voucher. No tax deferrals. Here's a voucher. Do it as you see fit. They'll never do that, but that's what they should do. So what do you say? They must become universal. Every company must offer a plan. Every company. What, by IRS dictates? And if you don't, you can't be a company? Forced compliance would be a step too far. Oh, okay. Every company must offer a plan, but he throws a side note. Forced compliance would be a step too far. But how are you going to do it then? Second, contribution rates need to improve. Okay, whatever. That's so silly. What was, by the way, I don't have my book here. What was the taxes on Social Security back then too, by the way? Anyone want to take a guess? What were the taxes? And I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know. Read my book, he'll tell you. I just don't have my book down here. You can retire on Social Security. All right, they're lower than they are now too. So why is the contribution rates low? Well, because we're paying more and more Social Security taxes. Anyway, we're well better off financially than we were back then. It's just a fact for retirees. It's not even debatable. It's not even debatable. And I'd love to hear you try. By all means, put in the comments why you think we're worse off now than we used to be. Love to hear it. All right. Love your thoughts. We'll see you.